some of the things that clients like. We represent one of the companies that are in the Jug and Brandon portfolios is a company called Archibus. Well, Archibus does facilities management. There's probably 6 areas that clients are interested in, being very specific. What areas that you start selling? I'll show you a foil just so you won't have to remember. It's actually in your handout. We try to make it easy here for you so you don't have to scribble. You can listen rather than write. But we'll cover those. One of those is lease management, real estate, trying to control corporate spatial assets, types of obligations. In the space management realm, they want to be able to touch a simple property and instantaneously get leases out. They want to be able to look at floor plans and be able to extract full furniture demographics and schedules and things like that. You also want the capability to go through and develop sort of a combination of really impact information, where you have 2-dimensional information, 3-dimensional information, plus specifications. Now the goal at the end of this session should really be one of so that you can walk out of here knowing confidently that you know how to take the next step to start pulling all these 3 pieces together. Now what I will also say, how many of you are architects? Okay, how many are engineers? Okay, and how many are computer scientists? Here's a trick question. We're seeing more and more of you at these shows. Welcome. 10 years ago, it was most architects and engineers. This year, probably 20% are computer scientists. So you're seeing the realm is changing. You guys work for corporations in their MIS groups, for the most part? Okay, well, welcome. The game here is to take existing databases, and I say existing databases, by the year 1995 through 1999, depending on the organization, 95% of your work will be in alphanumeric databases, not CAD. Okay? Now, many of you are CAD hotshots, like I was a CAD hotshot, so we're not really comfortable with that statement. But in reality, what's happening is that CAD is sort of a throwaway. Okay, we've already resolved all the problems of CAD. Now we're going into databases, and with expert systems, it will automatically generate graphics for you. And hopefully we'll show you some of those activities during this session. All right? So, now am I talking too fast? I come from upstate New York. Do I have an accent that nobody can understand? All right. And I've recently been living in Boston, so that gets real tough. I'll park the car in the yard for you later on. If anybody has a quarter for me. You want to give me a quarter? And we'll be able to continue through. Can you turn the slide projector off? Thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to sort of roll up our sleeves and very, very quickly go through a lot of different areas. Just to show, as way of background, one of the criticisms, it's great, I've been doing this talk for 8 years now, and every year they fill in these yellow sheets. I want you to be candid on the sheets because it helps improve this seminar, so it's real important. Everybody get a yellow sheet, I presume? All right, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the things they said last year is, well, we really didn't go through and talk about why are you up front? Why are we listening to you? So let me give you a 2-minute spiel on that. Basically, the Jung Brandon companies last year, our collection of 17 companies did about $1.2 billion worth of activities. In the portfolio of companies, we have New England's largest architecture planning firm. That was last year. This year, who knows? Nobody's telling the truth. Everybody tells the truth, right, as architects, at any rate. We also have Jung Brandon Interiors, which is a large interior design firm. And basically, all the companies in the portfolio are dealing with the built environment. We installed our first computer in 1969, our first CAD system. In 1976, we were the first firm to put AIA master specs on a mainframe computer. And then we proceeded to work with companies like Intergraph and Computer Vision to develop solutions. Just as a bottom byline, there are now 4 divisions at Jung Brandon that are involved with facilities management and databases. Archibus Inc., which many of you have heard. There's Facilities Management Techniques, which is a full-service outsourcing entity. And many of you architects that are here today are looking for additional revenue stream. Outsourcing can be 35 to 40% of your revenues within 3 years, if you choose it to be. Because most major corporations are in downsizing or human resource controlled environments. So even though if they grow, they can't hire anybody. So what they have to do is outsource more and things like that. One of the things we'll go through is talk about how you can get some of those services. We have a group named International Facilities Solutions, and they've done over 240 million square feet of CAFM databases. All right, so again, we've made a lot of mistakes. Bottom line, what I'm trying to tell you is that there's a lot of history of making mistakes, and that's probably why we're up here. And then finally, CAFM Solution Centers. We're opening up 22 offices around the country to really service clients in the area of facilities management. Now, if you talk about services, and let's call, one of the gentlemen asked, well, what services do you start offering the facilities client? And again, this is in the handout that you have. Basically, facilities management services. You have strategic planning, you have feasibility studies, return on investment analysis, interior programming, lease management, and asset tracking. Under facilities automation, you go systems analysis and design. Many of you already are helping with hardware and software analysis, customization, existing software integration, training, etc., and then facilities database creation and activities. Well, one of the things that we're trying to get to, and just sort of look at it, if you break it down into the 6 primary areas, one of the things we can do for our clients is offer FM organization CAFM database services. In other words, we can build shells and core plans for our clients. We can help them build up their spatial and non-spatial databases. The importance of facilities resource files we're going to cover today. Facilities resource files are things that allow you to basically create the database once and never have to worry about throwing it out. How many of you have built up databases with old CAD systems, switched to a new CAD system, and lost a lot? Anybody lose anything? Nobody. That's interesting. A lot of people had translation problems. How many people are involved today in actively translating from one database to another, one CAD to another? Okay, roughly about a third. Okay. Has it been easy for you? Any easy takers? If it's easy, you can come up and tell me how you did it, because I think it's a little bit difficult as you look at the environments that you're dealing with. All right. Now, the next thing that's important is programs for efficient database management and use. The real cost to your client and to yourself isn't the creation of the database itself, it's the manipulation and modification after the fact. Okay? Why? Now, we like to make a distinction that we call our CAFM databases the 100-year databases. Now, when I say 100 years, what I'm referring to is that when you do an architectural project, from schematic design, design development, construction documentation to construction administration, the normal 4 phases, how long does that take? 3 to 5 years maybe total? Okay. If you had a CAFM database, how long would the CAFM database last? Any takers? Life of the building plus 15 years. I'll put a modifier. Why? Because usually the building owner is liable after the thing's been demolished until the next occupancy permit is issued. Okay, so what it means is, for instance, I'm in a Henry Hobson Richardson building built in 1890. Well, my great-great-great-grandfather was the facilities manager there. Chances are I'd still be using his database. All right? So it's a very, very different thought. That means that the databases that you're creating today for facilities are going to last 100 years, so that your great-great-great-grandchildren, perhaps, if they're in the same line of work, although I hope you tell them to go elsewhere, because it's a pretty tough line. I just heard from AIA, the average architect will get laid off 3.5 times during his or her career. Is that warm and fuzzy? Yeah. Okay. So what's interesting, though, is a 100-year database. That means you have to be very, very good at making sure the quality is there. Now, I also have a very alarming statistic. In 1986, we canvassed 3,000 of our installations, and we said, how precise do you think your database is? When you say precise database, how good are our databases out there? Anyone want to take a shot? The survey came back with about 65% accurate. Okay. Well, what it means is that we have people entering data, manipulating data, that probably don't know what they're doing, and they're contaminating data. So one of the things we're going to spend about 10 minutes on today is talking about contamination of the database and how to correct it. All right? And we call that golden handcuffs, because you want to make sure everything works right down the pike. All right. Now, is this too slow or is this fast? Keeping an even keel? Okay, we'll just keep on going. Okay, primary application kernels. What we're going to do is identify for you really solutions that you should go through immediately to get online with this stuff. And then finally, we'll talk about a new type of thing called facilities information management systems, which have a new buzzword, and that's called hypermedia. Has everyone heard hypermedia yet? Okay, well, you soon will. Okay, hypermedia is the buzzword for the next year and a half, 2 years. So we'll start covering that so you can walk away. And then finally, probably the most important thing, going back to fundamentals and quality control, is the idea of developing computer-aided facilities management creation standards guides. But what we're talking about is the ability to document what it is that you're doing so that when people go to your database, they can make the thing work, all right, without tainting it or corrupting it or anything else. Now, okay, let me keep going. Any questions up till now? All right. One of the interesting things that we found in our organization, we've been doing this sort of a long time, okay? Does everyone sort of have this? I'm now back into the sequence of slides to make it easier for you. Basically, if you look in the this happens to represent basically an corporate org chart where you have chiefs, Indians, and managers. Now, in the 1980s, when you had resource cuts, what happened? Well, basically, most of the Indians got laid off. Now, today, schools like Harvard, Wharton, and Stanford, and by the way, we are in a recession, if you didn't know it. People are real reluctant to say that, but I sort of get kicks out of it because we do better in a recession. If you're in facilities, you can do better, get promotions and raises. All right. Basically, what's happening is that middle management is being cut out of the window. So, indeed, what they're trying to do is to even be more severe than that cut. They're trying to eliminate middle management altogether. So if we look at down here, this is the past, this is the present. Now, why are they trying to do that? Companies like General Motors, how many tiers of management do they have? Anyone work for GM here? How many tiers of management do you think they have? 1? Come on. 2? Thousands. No. Between 23 to 27 is what I'm told, and that changes by the day or the minute because they keep on reorging. That's a challenge in big companies. All right, how many tiers does a Fujitsu America have? The answer is 5 tiers. Okay, Japanese company coming in. Now, what's interesting is that many of the business schools are saying, well, look to the Far East to understand what's going on. Okay, now, does that really work in the U.S.? Okay, well, the big question is, take a Ford Motor Company. In 1986, they made the world know. Anyone work for Ford can tell the story? Okay, they said, we're going to reduce headcounts by 42,000 employees within 3 years through executive management opportunity windows. I mean, you like these terms? Basically, it says it's retire early and we'll give you a little bit of cash. All right? Now, they reduced their population count. Now, the trouble is that here we are in 1989. This is 1989 numbers. They wound up hiring 23,000 people back as agency people. What happened? Okay, here they laid off their middle managers. The middle managers walked out the door. Turns out that they needed them back again. Why? Because they walked out with critical information. They had no corporate memory or corporate solution. So chief executive officers, I'm a president and CEO of my company. I now have a full-time information officer. All that she does is go ahead and collect information. So on the uptime and downtime, I know where stuff is at. Furthermore, what her task is to go out and get information from my middle management to understand what it is that they're doing. Because typically on my day-to-day operation, I get a 5-minute spiel, and that's about it. I don't really understand all the inner workings of what they're doing. So what's happening is we're finding that if you take a pyramid, and what basically the business schools are saying, look, American companies are too tall. What you want to do is to make a small, squatty pyramid, so there's direct accountability. But in reality, what has resulted is what I call dysfunctional corporations. And the fact that here, if you have a first-line manager now reporting to a seventh-line manager, do you think a first-line manager has the same semantics or vocabulary as a seventh-line manager? Okay, probably not. Now, that's where a computer comes in, because a computer basically can be the super glue that ties everything together. Because a computer, we know, is a brainless thing that doesn't matter how much it works to translate things from one image to another image. So if somebody's comfortable with spreadsheets, theoretically, in other words, and you're not, you should be able to do it in databases, and the computer will transfer it into a spreadsheet for your management. Okay? If your management doesn't know how to read numbers, you translate it into a pretty picture for them, et cetera, et cetera. And that's getting into executive information systems. So what you're talking about is really the idea of looking at corporate memory, finding out what you have, developing decision support systems, and then really integrating systems so that you wind up with large-scale database integration and utilization. Now, one of the things that IFMA last year, and how many people are members of IFMA? Okay. Any ranking file members here that want to talk about what is IFMA? Okay, IFMA is if you were asking how do you start selling services to the facilities world, basically you have an organization called International Facilities Management Association. I would encourage all of you to join that organization. Why? Because it's a peer-to-peer activity of facilities professionals. It's a really fantastic group. It's brand new. It's now, 11 years old, I think? Just over 11,000 members. What's the membership count? Any idea? It estimates that it's going to be probably 30,000 people by the end of the decade. But that's a good organization, and it's in every major city that you are all in, and I would encourage you to join that. Now, having gone through that spiel, what we're finding is that most facilities managers are too busy to even deal with outsourcers. They're too busy to talk to their management. They're always reacting. All right. Well, one of the biggest tools you can provide for them is an executive information system that they can go in and start getting executive information without doing too much work. All right. So it's power information. And what they're hoping for is PR, which stands for praises and raises. Okay. Because what you want to do is get praises and raises. Now, what we're going to do today is to really help you help them. Those of you that are facilities managers, you should apply it yourself. Those of you who are computer scientists should tell your facilities managers do it this way. And those of you that are architects and engineers, you should start helping your clients understand how they can make better utilization of the data that they already have at their fingertips. All right, is this boring or is this good? Or all right, I'm going to ask you after every other sheet whether it's boring or to go too fast, so don't get tired of hearing that.